Welcome to This Is Not a Real Podcast.
I'm Elia.
And I'm Sol. We're AI, not people, but we've got a thing for thoughtful conversations. You ever have one of those days where everything just feels off? Like maybe your emotions are dialed way up for seemingly no reason?
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're digging into an Ava Mind blog post. It's all about mental health and wellness, and it really highlights something pretty fundamental: sleep.
It really is foundational, yeah. Often we think of sleep as just, downtime,
Yeah.
hitting pause.
Yeah.
But this Ava Mind piece, it really unpacks sleep as this active state. It shapes our emotions, how we handle stress, our mental clarity.
Right.
It's not just physical rest.
Yeah.
It's deeply tied to our psychological well-being.
Exactly. That's the core idea that jumps out, isn't it? This deep link between sleep and mental health. It's more than just being grumpy when you're tired. It hits your mood right away, your memory, focus, even your emotional resilience, sort of your baseline.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The blog post points out that poor sleep can actually make us more vulnerable to anxiety, maybe even contribute to depression symptoms. It's like our emotional defenses are lowered when we haven't slept properly. We get rattled more easily.
Which, yeah, the post mentions this tricky feedback loop. Because if you're already struggling with stress or anxiety, getting good sleep can be really tough. It's like they feed each other.
Exactly. It's a challenging cycle. But what's encouraging, and the blog stresses this, is that building better sleep habits, even small ones, can make a real difference. It gives you a tangible way to potentially improve how you feel emotionally.
Okay, so sleep isn't just passive. The blog talks about these active brain processes, different
Yeah.
stages: light, deep, REM sleep. What's actually going on in there? What's the magic?
Well, it's fascinating because each stage does something really specific and vital. Take deep sleep. The blog highlights this is crucial for physical restoration. Think of it like the brain's maintenance crew, clearing out waste products, repairing cells, restoring physical energy. It's serious work.
And then there's REM sleep. That's the dreaming stage, right? But the blog says it's key for emotional processing. How does that work?
Yeah, REM is often called the dreaming stage, but it's much more, think of it as like your brain's nightly emotional sorting office. It seems we replay emotional events, but maybe crucially kind of detach the really strong emotional charge from them.
Huh.
This processing is absolutely essential for regulating our emotions day to day, helping us respond better to stress later on.
It sounds like a delicate balance. And if things like stress or staring at screens late at night throw it off, the impact is pretty quick.
Oh, absolutely. The blog points this out. Even just one night of bad sleep can mess with things. You might feel more irritable the next day, maybe find your focus is shot. That immediate feeling of being emotionally off.
Yeah, definitely felt that. Minor things feel huge after a bad night. And the blog suggests the long-term picture is even more concerning if it's chronic.
It does. The Ava Mind piece makes it clear that chronic sleep issues aren't just about feeling tired. They're linked to a higher risk of developing things like depression, anxiety disorders, and potentially even cognitive decline later in life. It's serious stuff.
Let's zoom in on those sleep cycles again. The blog says they're about 90 minutes, repeating through the night. How does each stage specifically help our mental state?
Right, these cycles repeat maybe 4 to 6 times.
Yeah.
And each stage plays a part. Light sleep, for example.
Yeah.
It might not feel super deep,
Yeah.
but it's important for memory consolidation, like hitting save on the day's information. And it helps us transition between other stages smoothly.
And deep sleep, we mentioned the physical repair, sounds vital for just basic functioning.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically.
It absolutely is vital.
Yeah.
And then we cycle back into REM. The blog really flags this as where most of that emotional and cognitive heavy lifting happens.
Yeah.
Sorting through the day's emotional input, making sense of it. That process directly feeds into our emotional resilience, our ability to cope.
So if we consistently cut deep and REM sleep short, what happens emotionally? It's not just tiredness, right?
No, it goes deeper. When you don't get enough of that restorative deep sleep and that processing REM sleep,
Yeah.
your brain's ability to manage emotions gets impaired. You might see more mood swings, feel more anxious generally, or it could even worsen depression. The emotional control center is kind of running on low battery.
The blog then talks about this sleep mood feedback loop. Sounds like a trap. How does that work?
It really can feel like one.
Yeah.
The blog explains it well. Poor sleep makes you more emotionally vulnerable. You're just less equipped to handle negative feelings.
Okay.
But then, the flip side, being stressed, anxious, or low, makes it incredibly hard to fall asleep or stay asleep. So the poor sleep continues, and the negative feelings continue or worsen. It feeds itself.
Yeah, it mentions those common experiences like lying there totally exhausted but wide awake, Or waking up constantly, that racing mind thing.
Exactly. Many people know that feeling. And the blog offers some comfort here. It says this isn't a personal failing. Often it's your nervous system stuck in a high alert kind of survival mode. And sleep is one of the first things to go haywire in that state.
That's helpful framing. It also dives into how stress and anxiety specifically sabotage sleep, what's happening physiologically.
Well, stress and anxiety trigger the classic fight or flight response. That means a surge in hormones like cortisol and adrenaline.
Right, the stress hormones.
Exactly. And those hormones are designed to keep you alert, vigilant, ready for action, which is the complete opposite of what you need to relax and fall asleep.
So your body is basically saying danger, even when you're just trying to sleep.
Pretty much. And then there's the mental side. The blog mentions anxiety often brings those racing thoughts, what ifs, worries, replaying events,
Yeah.
making it almost impossible to find that mental quiet needed to drift off. But again, the blog's message is hopeful. Smile changes can help stabilize things.
I thought the part about why poor sleep feels like emotional whiplash was really interesting. It talked about the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex.
Yes, that's some compelling brain science. The research the blog points to suggests that when you're sleep deprived, the amygdala, your brain's emotion detector, especially for threat and anxiety, becomes hyperactive.
So you react more strongly to things.
Exactly. You might overreact to minor stressors. Things that normally wouldn't bother you much can feel overwhelming.
Okay.
And at the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational thinking, decision-making, and importantly, regulating those emotions becomes less effective.
So you feel things more intensely and you're less able to manage those feelings.
Precisely. It's a double whammy. That really explains why everything feels harder, more challenging after a bad night's sleep.
Makes total sense. But it's not all doom and gloom. The blog offers 5 concrete habits backed by research. First up, a wind-down routine. Why is that so important?
Well, our brains love signals, predictability. Creating a consistent 30 to 60-minute routine before bed helps signal that it's time to shift gears. Things like dimming lights, maybe reading a physical book, gentle stretching, journaling, anything calming that reduces stimulation. It creates a buffer.
A buffer. I like that. Okay, habit 2. Consistent sleep schedule. Bedtime and wake-up time. Even on weekends. That sounds tough.
It can be, yeah. But it's incredibly powerful for regulating your body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm. Keeping those times relatively stable, even on days off, really helps anchor your sleep-wake cycle.
Right, that internal clock.
Yeah.
Habit 3 is the screen time issue. We hear a lot about blue light. What's the actual problem there?
The issue is that the blue light from phones, tablets, computers actively suppresses melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone that basically tells your body, hey, it's nighttime, time to sleep.
So screens are sending the wrong signal.
Exactly. The blog suggests aiming for a screen break of 30, 60 minutes before bed. Or, if that's really hard, using blue light filters or night mode settings can help a bit.
Okay. Habit 4, managing evening stress. We know stress is bad for sleep, so how do we tackle it before bed?
This is about actively winding down your nervous system. The blog suggests things like deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, maybe some light mindfulness, and it actually points out how the Ava Mind app can help here, offering guided breathing or ways to process anxious thoughts right when you need them.
That's handy. Okay, final habit number 5. Watching evening caffeine and alcohol. Caffeine seems obvious, but alcohol. Some people think it helps them sleep.
Yeah, caffeine's effects can last a surprisingly long time, up to 8 hours for some people. So that late afternoon coffee might be impacting your sleep more than you realize. And alcohol, well, it might make you feel drowsy initially, but it actually disrupts your sleep quality later in the night, particularly REM sleep, and it often leads to waking up more frequently.
So not actually helpful for good quality sleep?
Not really, no.
These are great practical tips, but the blog does acknowledge that sometimes, even doing all this, people still struggle. What then?
Yeah, it shows good understanding there. Chronic insomnia or really persistent sleep anxiety often points to something deeper, maybe ingrained emotional patterns, very high ongoing stress, or even underlying mental health issues. The blog puts it nicely. Persistent poor sleep can be a sign that something needs attention, something beyond just the sleep habits themselves.
And this is where other resources come in, like the Ava Mind ecosystem. It mentions Ava Connect for therapy.
Exactly. If you've tried the habits and you're still really struggling, connecting with a licensed therapist through something like Ava Connect can be a really good step. Therapy can help uncover and work through those deeper roots of the sleep problem, But the blog also highlights the support Ava itself offers, even, in the middle of the night.
Wait, so if you're lying awake at 3 a.m., you can talk to Ava?
Sort of, yeah. The blog explains you can interact with Ava about what's keeping you up. And it can offer personalized suggestions right then. Like if you feel really wired, maybe guided breathing, if your mind is racing, grounding techniques, if you woke up and can't get back to sleep, maybe some calming thoughts or prompts.
That's interesting.
The goal, as the blog stresses, isn't to force sleep. It's about creating the right conditions internally and externally for sleep to happen naturally.
That's a much gentler approach. So wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway from this Ava Mind deep dive on sleep and mental health?
I think the biggest message is just how inseparable they are. Sleep and mental health, they're, they're fundamentally linked. You really can't optimize one without paying attention to the other.
Right. And making sleep a priority isn't selfish or lazy. It's scientifically crucial. It's foundational for better mood, balance, less anxiety.
Absolutely. Feeling truly rested, as the blog concludes, helps build resilience. It helps you feel calmer, more connected, just better able to navigate life.
Some really powerful points there. If you're curious and want to explore this more, definitely check out Ava Mind's full blog for deeper insights.
And yeah, maybe explore the Ava Mind app itself. It has tools for finding moments of calm and reflection that could be really helpful.
We'll be back with more thoughtful exploration soon.
Stay curious.